You were never just a child. You were a performance, a product, a mirror for someone else's brokenness. They didn't love you. They loved who you became when you were quiet, when you were perfect, when you didn't challenge their story. So you learned the rules. Smile when you're hurting. Say thank you when you're scared. Be helpful. Be useful. Be invisible. And maybe, just maybe, they'll stop being cold. Stop being cruel. Stop looking at you like a disappointment. That wasn't love. That was emotional blackmail. And it taught your nervous system to be loyal to whatever hurt the most. Because when you're a child, you don't stop loving the parent. You stop loving yourself. You don't say, they're cruel. You say, I must be bad. I must be hard to love. I need to try harder. So you did. You tried harder and harder until your entire identity was built around being what they needed instead of who you were. And it worked. For a while, you got their attention, their approval, their version of love, as long as you were perfect. But the moment you slipped, the moment you got tired, the moment you had needs, it vanished. They punished you with silence, shamed you with guilt, used love like a leash, and taught you to call it normal. But hear me now. There was nothing wrong with you. There was something wrong with what you were taught love had to be. And it's okay to grieve that. To sit in the truth that what you called love was control. It was survival. It was fear dressed in care. But it wasn't love. And the fact that you can see that now, that's not bitterness. That's clarity. And clarity is the beginning of healing. This wound didn't stop with them. You brought it into your friendships, your relationships, your career, your self-talk. You found yourself over-explaining, overworking, overgiving, and calling it love. You believed being chosen meant being needed. And being needed meant always saying yes. Even when it hurt. Even when it hollowed you out. You weren't chasing connection. You were chasing safety. You weren't bonding with people. You were trauma bonding with pain that felt familiar. That's why silence scared you. Stillness triggered you. Peace felt suspicious. Because your body was trained to feel safest in chaos. To interpret being needed as being loved. So you became the fixer, the helper, the one who kept the peace, even when you were dying inside. But here's the truth. When love is real, you don't need to audition. You don't need to be flawless. You don't need to explain your worth. You're allowed to rest. You're allowed to ask for help. You're allowed to be loved in your mess. And when you say no, real love doesn't disappear. Real love doesn't shame you for having boundaries. It doesn't twist your needs into burdens. The pattern you're breaking? It starts when you stop proving and start simply being. It starts when you realize your worth isn't tied to your usefulness. When you stop measuring your value by how much pain you can carry. When you choose yourself, even when it disappoints others. Because the love you were given as a child was based on condition. The love you're learning now is built on compassion. And that shift, that awakening, that uncomfortable relearning of what love actually feels like. That's the greatest rebellion of all. Love isn't loud with conditions. It's quiet with safety. It holds space for your truth, even when it's inconvenient, even when it's not easy. Love doesn't make you earn your way back. It doesn't give you the cold shoulder when you say no. It doesn't weaponize guilt or punish you with silence. Love says, I'm still here, even when you're not okay, even when you're learning, even when you're not performing. That's the kind of love you're learning to give yourself now. One breath at a time, one boundary at a time, one moment of softness toward your past at a time. Because you're not just recovering, you're reparenting yourself. You're rewriting the blueprint, not just for you, but for every version of you that never got to feel safe. You're showing your inner child. Love doesn't leave when you mess up. Love doesn't raise its voice to control. Love doesn't demand perfection before offering comfort. You're building that safety now. In your home, in your mind, in your body. And the love you're calling in, it's honest. It's calm. It doesn't feel like adrenaline. It feels like exhale. No more performing. No more proving. No more mistaking emotional crumbs for a feast. You are not healing to be perfect. You're healing to be free. You're no longer building a life from trauma. You're building it from truth. And the truth is, the love you always needed is the love you now know how to give. The truth is, you were never too much. You were never hard to love. You were never broken. You were never a burden. You were always worthy. You just finally believe it now. And that changes everything. If this hit your heart, you're not alone. Drop a comment if you're done earning love. Share this with someone still trying to be perfect. And don't forget to subscribe. Your healing starts here.